Hello, my YouTube family. We got a low body today. New block, new fresh block. So, one important thing that I've learned training is that you do not want too much variation typically from block to block, right? It's not like when you switch blocks, your entire workout schedule, all the exercises, everything like that needs to change. Too much variation does not give your body enough time to truly adapt and use all the benefits of the exercises that you're implementing in your program, right? Does that mean that you have to do the same reps and sets and weight that you did last block? Of course not. Instead of varying the exercise, try to vary the sets, the reps, the weight, and progress accordingly. Also, I want to talk about in this video kind of the off season and the importance of the off season as far as it goes with strength sports and everything like that. First exercise of the day, 10 by 1 overhead bull throws. All right. Goal is to be nice and explosive every single rep. They've done studies that letting out a grunt or a little bit of a, forceful exhale of air helps increase your power. So you might be making fun of the guy who's grunting in the gym. Of course, there's a time and place for it, but it actually does help. Onto some squats. All right, guys. So for the off season, something that's super important is being able to train other aspects of your game that you're not necessarily getting with your competitive season, right? So if you're a novice and you just got into something like powerlifting, which is very specific to how much can I squat, bench, and deadlift, you could probably compete pretty often and not have any negative consequences because of it, right? You really only have positive because you're so new to everything. You're still learning the technique. The loads that you're putting on your body are probably not all that strenuous, so you can get away with a little bit more frequency and specificity to just the powerlifting. Although I would argue that's probably not the best thing. That even as a novice, you should try to train more generally than very specific. But during your off-season competition, once you start hitting the training age where you're not able to compete every couple months, it is super, super important that you're developing other aspects of your fitness game, right? Let's say something like power and speed with plyometrics for a power lifter, something you can implement in the off season, because that's going to be beneficial when you're building that general physical preparedness, right? With all aspects of your fitness, it's going to be super beneficial to carry you into your competitive season to prevent injury and allow you to train harder in your competitive season. All right, 545 for 8 reps. There we go. Nice, man. All right, guys, during your off season too, I would recommend you explore other avenues of physical fitness that you like for the same reason I was describing earlier, so you can develop your general physical preparedness, your ability to handle more shit regardless, right? So if you care about, or if you've never done plyometrics before, and this, you have to be smart about it, right? If you're 300 pounds, you've never jumped before in your life, probably not a good idea to go and try doing broad jumps or hill sprints, right? Let's say you're relatively new, you have an athletic background, and you want to start incorporating things like hill sprints, plyos, and other exercise modalities like that. Well, I would strongly recommend you doing that during your off season. Doing cluster sets of 3 on squat to improve your squat, and then supersetting that with some box jumps is not going to take away from your squat performance if you're not squatting very heavy, right? Obviously, during in-season, when you're hitting repeatedly RP 7 and above singles, you probably don't want to be disrupting your squat performance with a bunch of plyos between the sets. That being said, if it's the off season and you're doing more reps and repetitions like that, you're not necessarily training at RP 10 every single week, throw in some plyos, throw in some box jumps in between your squats or after squats or something like that. So this way you can develop your speed and your power along with your strength in the squat. Then there's also other things you have to pay attention to too when you're looking at other exercises like this, right? Something like plyos, not to harp on it too much, a lot of that it's strenuous for your tendons, right? Which is not necessarily a bad thing. If you have good tendons and you want to build those tendons up. So if I've had problems in the past with tendonitis during my peak, during my off season, I want to do low-level plyometrics to help strain those tendons and build those tendons up while you're not necessarily getting the same strain you do with heavy weights, right? I believe it's about 85% of your 1 repetition max, and then your tendons will grow. That's a stimulus for your tendons to grow. Well, if you're doing a block where you're under 85% of your 1 repetition max, try incorporating some plyos to help build up those tendons if you have a problem with tendonitis. Or let's say you develop a shoulder issue during training, right? When you're hitting your bench training. Well, during your off season, really focus on building up your shoulders. Press in a way you've never pressed before. Do more direct neck work, direct upper trap work, direct lower trap work, more rear delt work. train like a bodybuilder, not just like a power lifter. Things like that during your off season, you'll set up other goals, right? Instead of just saying I want to squat 700 pounds like you did in the meet. This off season, yeah, I'm going to prepare myself to squat more during my competitive season. But during the off season, have a goal. I want to add 5 pounds of muscle. I want to have bigger thighs or something like that to help support your goals during the in season, right? That's how you develop a good, proper off season plan. The off season is not a time to slack off. It is not a time to be very direct with your programming, right? Of course, there's always caveats to everything, but I would say in general. 2 sets of 5 here, high bar, 455. Very good. Maybe an RP5, but that was not a great walkout. I've been getting very dizzy after my squats. Definitely concerned I should dress. I would be cautious though. Don't do anything to the detriment necessarily of your main sport. For instance, last year I got super obsessed with the idea of fixing the tendonitis that's in my right knee. So we limited the amount of volume I was doing on squats. I was doing a ton of PT work, chiropractic work, all this stuff for the tendonitis in my right knee. Needless to say, I still have tendonitis in my right knee. And all that time I was so worried about not squatting enough or avoiding squats to make sure I could get that tendonitis fixed. Realistically, what I should have been doing was squatting, just varying the load so I could handle it comfortably. All right, a little recap. During your off season, you're a strength athlete competitor. It is very, very important for you to develop other aspects of your fitness, of your general physical preparedness, right? So instead of just thinking, I'm going to do higher reps on squat, bench, and deadlifts, or I'm going to do my same strongman events over and over again, focus also on developing other aspects that you may not have been doing. You're in a lighter weight class and you're still developing as a powerlifter. Add on some muscle with some hypertrophy work. If you're you've dealt with tendonitis before, do exercises that strengthen the tendons. Things like plyometrics, while also working on explosiveness. That is going to help you in the long run. And it's not going to distract from your ultimate goals of whatever the competition is, right? Because during the off season, it's a building phase. You should be building with proper programming to help you ultimately achieve your goals during competition season. All right, guys, let me know if you like this video. Subscribe, like, visit tankstrengthcoaching.com and email me at tankstrengthcoaching@gmail.com if you got any questions.